Scientists have observed three general patterns of marine biodiversity. First, the greatest marine biodiversity occurs in coral reefs, estuaries, and the deep ocean floor. Second, biodiversity is higher near coast than the open sea because of greater variety of producers and habitats in coastal areas. Third, biodiversity is higher in the bottom region of the ocean than in the surface because of the greater variety of habitats and food sources on the bottom of the ocean.
Main vocabulary words for this section would be first biodiversity, second biodiversity, and third biodiversity.
Aquatic biodiversities have faced many major threats throughout the year. Most of those threats are human-made, which include loss of dehydration, fish nets, and habitat disruption. So many sea bottom habitats have faced a loss of dehydration by dredging operations and trawler fishing boats. Not only that, but trawlers drag new nets weighed down with heavy chains and steel plates like giant submerged bulldozers over ocean bottoms to harvest a few species of bottom fish or shellfish.
Main vocabulary for this section would be fish nets, habitat destruction, dredging, and trawler fishing boats.
Invasive species are degrading aquatic biodiversity. This is a major problem within the biome because hundreds of harmful invasive species are being added. Invasive species are harmful because they can damage the society. These bio-invaders can displace or cause the extinction of the native species and disrupt the ecosystem.
Main vocabulary for this section would be invasive species, zebra mussel, Caulerpa taxifolia, and Carcinus mayinus.
The fishing industry has become very large and have been using many techniques that will help make fish catching methods more efficient. They use sonar, large nets, long fishing lines, and spotter planes in order to protect these fish. In accordance with the research from the Nature Conservancy, scientists reported that if people put a stop to overfishing and pollution onto marine life, then coral reefs and mangrove forests would still survive in those regions, aside from global warming. In regions to the UK's Royal Society, reducing inputs of CO2 helps minimize chemical hazards from ocean acidification. In order to sustain marine biodiversity, communities shall legitimize minoring upon coastal land development and regulate fishing. Each individual as a consumer can carefully purchase sustainable harvested seafood.
Main vocabulary for this section would be sonar, large fishing nets, large fishing lines, overfishing, pollution, carbon dioxide, ocean acidification, regulation, and sustainability.
Protecting and sustaining marine biodiversity. It is hard for scientists to protect marine biodiversity because human ecological footprints are temporary. Most humans do not understand what they are doing is hazardous. Fishermen still produce seafood, and bodies of water lie in the jurisdiction of many countries. Countries have been trying to regulate using the 1973 U.S. Endangered Species Act, 1975 Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, and the 1979 Global Treaty on Migratory of Species. Managing and sustaining fisheries. First part in managing fisheries is to know the population of the fishes. They use MSY, the OSY, multi-species management, and the precautionary principle. They also have tried to regulate fish harvesting, also have tried to give subsidies to encourage overfishing. Lastly, is using the marketplace to control fishing.
Main vocabulary for this section would be ecological footprint, 1973 Endangered Species Act, 1975 Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, 1979 Global Treaty of Migratory Species, Maximum Sustained Yield MSY, Optimum Sustained Yield OSY, Multi-Species Management, Precautionary Principle, Subsidies, and Sustainable Seafood.
Coastal and inland wetlands are important reservoirs of aquatic biodiversity that provides vital ecological value as well as economic services. Wetlands have been destroyed in the process of extracting minerals, oils, and natural gas. To maintain the ecological and economic services of wetlands, we must maximize preservation of remaining wetlands and restoration of degraded and destroyed wetlands. Wetlands filter our water, protect our coastal communities from floods, and provide habitats for fish and other wildlife. Our wetlands are quickly disappearing with so much to lose. We can help to sustain marine biodiversity by using laws and economic incentives to protect species. To protect wetlands, we must set aside marine reserves to protect ecosystems and using community-based integrated coastal management.
Main vocabulary for this section would be extracting oils, minerals, natural gas, preservation, economic incentives, and marine reserves.
How can we protect and sustain freshwater lakes, rivers, and fissures?
Freshwater ecosystems are under major threats. The ecological and economic services provided by freshwater lakes, rivers, and fissures are severely threatened by human activity. As more aquatic ecosystems are being destroyed, there are less and less room for species, which lead to crowdedness in ecosystems. Invasion by non-native species is a major threat to the biodiversity and ecological functions of lakes. Rivers and streams provide important ecological and economic services. Overfishing, pollution, dams, and water withdrawal for irrigation disrupt these services. The ecological services of rivers is that they deliver nutrients to sea to help sustain coastal fisheries, deposit silt that maintains deltas, purify water, renew and renourish wetlands, and provides habitat for wildlife. Main vocabulary for this section is overfishing, pollution, invasive species, services of rivers and lakes.
What should be our priorities for sustaining biodiversity and ecosystem services? In 2002, Edward O. Wilson, considered to be one of the world's foremost experts on biodiversity, proposed the following priorities for protecting most of the world's ecosystems and species. First, he stated, protect and restore the world's lakes and river systems, which are the most threatened ecosystems of all. Also, he stated, carry out ecological restoration projects worldwide to heal some of the damage we have done and to increase the share of the Earth's land and water allotted to the rest of nature. Keep intact the world's remaining old-growth forest and seize all logging of such forest.
The ocean covers almost 3/4 of our planet, but our ocean today is at grave risk, and the damage is not happening by accident. Human activity is the cause. Harmful fishing practices, even illegal fishing, giant garbage patches, hundreds of dead zones, and rising carbon dioxide levels, all of it threatens life under the sea. That is the bad news. The good news is, it doesn't have to be that way. Governments, communities, and individuals can act now to reverse these trends. We can protect the ocean if we all start treating it like our ocean. Wherever you live, you can help in some way. There are things you can do to make a difference. Let's work toward a healthier ocean for this generation and those to come. Show your support and tell others how you'll make this commitment. Don't throw trash into our ocean or waterways. Ask for sustainable seafood. Volunteer at least one day a year to clean our waterways or beaches. I intend to ask our leaders around the world to act now to create a healthier ocean together, and we'll help lead the way. What will you do to help protect our ocean?